I worked in the 3rd Security Police Squadron. Worked midnight shift the entire time I was there. It was suggested to me before I went to volunteer for midnights because you'll be awake when the attacks come. The base experience, mortar attacks and rocket attacks, probably twice a month on a routine basis. In some months there was more than that. Depending upon where you were, you didn't hear anything, you didn't see anything until the first round hit. Hopefully that was either behind you or someplace else, obviously. My job at the tower basically at that point was to, once I saw the flashes, I would call in immediately either on the field phone or on the radio, incoming, and they would hit the base alarm. Most cases I didn't even use, as soon as they heard Delta 18, they would hit the base alarm because they all knew what it was, so they hit it. Tet Offense started on January 31st, 1968, and how it started was the 101st was off our northeast perimeter, and they were the first ones to come in contact. From that point forward, what we picked up, the K9 handlers picked up, were obviously the sounds. They started their alerts, pulling on the K9 handler. That's when we knew something was happening. And then within a few minutes or a minute or less, that they started receiving fire. Actually working the tower that particular night, we stayed up there for the most part. We went up there about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, didn't come down till almost 3 in the afternoon the following day. That's about when it was starting to wind down for the base. The smell of the bodies started to pick up the following day. That's when you really begin to notice it. Our huts were at the complete opposite end of the base, and it was quite evident. And we could only imagine what it would have been like just to be out there, 30, 40 feet away from them. They did gather them up after about the 3rd day and buried them on the base. Coming back to the States afterwards, it felt cold. People would look at you, even by your haircut, they know you were in the service. So right away, you were without a uniform, you were being checked out. He's in the military. So there's no friendship there at all. There's nothing outwardly friendly. Certainly not like family. Initially, when I came back, that's when I began to read more about Vietnam, and that's when I find out that basically they've been fighting the Chinese since at least 600 BC. And I look back at myself and saying, I didn't make a damn bit of difference, nothing. And it was of really no value. And even more so now that, 50 years later almost, and more convinced that it was a waste of time. And a waste of, not so much time, but a waste of a lot of lives on both sides.